If you've been making dua for months or even years and your dua is still not be answered, then this video might completely change how you think about it. My name is Irfan Girei, and my mission is to help young Muslim men become closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by being disciplined, ambitious, and also living purpose. I've served as an imam for the last 2 years, alhamdulillah, and I've memorized half of the Quran by the permission of Allah. If you've done your tahajjud, you did dua istikhara, you gave sadaqah, you avoided sins, you even ask people to make dua for you, and your dua is still not being answered, then that means you haven't fulfilled the first principle, which is that you do not even believe your dua will be answered. Yeah, but Irfan, I understand we human beings, we tend to look at the negative side of every single aspect. Like, we cannot just believe, but actually figure out how you can believe your dua will be answered. Yeah, but how can you, like, okay, how can you believe your dua will be answered? I'll explain to you in a second. There was a time I was speaking to one of my friends, and I noticed every single time I talk about something positive, that friend will be talking about the negative aspect of that thing. And I told him that how a Muslim man, you should supposed to be very strong and fit. The very first time, 100%, I told him this thing so many times, 100% of the time, every single time, you bring up like, oh, what if an armed robber comes to you, or what if a thief comes to your house and he's stronger than you and he'll beat you? I'm like, another time I'll bring up, for example, you should build success, and as a young man, the first thing he'll be like, oh, people will start to hate you, I'm like, every single time, like that person, I'm not having any hate for him, but he has this like pessimistic mindset. He just doesn't believe in all these things. There was an advice actually I held back from for a very long time, and now is the advice I'm going to give it to you. It's basically the advice of Alex Omozi. Volume negates luck. But in another version of it, it says, do so much work, it will be unreasonable for you to not be successful. At first, I had this quote and I was like a little bit resistant, thinking like, I don't want to be a kafir. I want my success to be from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but I don't want to have this like kafir mindset of like, I am doing the things, I do all these things. I resisted that thing for a long time, up until I noticed it's not that you become a kafir, or you become like self-confident in your skills. The thing I noticed after a long time that I failed was that we human beings have these mental locks in our brain. Quick pause. If you're a young Muslim man who's serious about discipline, ambition, and becoming closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I've got a free gift for you. I'm offering a completely free one-to-one strategy call where we'll look at your own specific problem, where you are at, and we will create an actionable plan, a practical step-by-step plan specifically for you. So completely free. There will be no sign-ups, no payments, no opt-ins. If you're interested, it will be linked down below. And so to break this kind of locks, volume, do so much volume. Imagine, let me give you an example. If I have two people, the first person is a talented boxer. Let's say, for example, his dad was a best boxer in the world. The second person is just a layman that practiced one punch 10,000 times. Imagine when you compare both of them. Every single person I gave this analogy, every single one I asked just gave me the person that did 10,000 attempts. That's the person that won. And so you start to understand, like, people you see, like, imagine facing someone that is naturally talented on boxing, but because you did so much reps, you'll be able to beat that person. And so that's the same mindset I want you to do in your du'as. Do so much volume. Let's say, for example, your du'a is probably, like most of the du'as, it can be quantifiable. Or maybe you might be wanting to memorize the Quran. In my own scenario, like, I was trying to memorize the Quran, but I would memorize a little bit, I would do a little bit of repetition, I'd be like, oh, Allah, 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 Allah. But I realized that do so much volume. When you do so much volume, imagine if, let's say you take a page and you did it maybe 1,000 times. I did 1,000 times, is an example, but let's just say you did a page 1,000 times. You would have that self-confidence that, okay, now this thing, it will 100% stick. That's the kind of mindset. Be careful, but that's the kind of mindset. When you have, at that point, you have broken that mental lock, and fundamentally, when you break those locks, that is when the dua will be answered. The dua will never be answered if you don't believe it will be answered. That's just a fact. So how can you break that belief? Doing so much more volume. Just do so much more volume. If your dua is not quantifiable, for example, if your dua is something that Allah will give you like barakah and something like that, okay, do a lot of volume in your dua. Instead of making dua once or twice, no. Make dua every single sujood. In fact, not just the 17 rak'ahs, like 34 times sujood, no. Do, in fact, the nawafil salah, like, just do so much more volume. Do it maybe 50 times a day, 100 times a day. Make 1,000 duas every single day. Just keep making those duas. That is, at least, which leads to, this mindset, this volume mindset leads to the second advice I Mozi also gave, which is be impatient with the inputs and patient with the outputs. People they switch those things. They start to be patient with the inputs and get impatient with the output or impatient with the outputs. When you're patient with the inputs, you start to do a little bit and then you relax, which is a very, very bad thing. Do it as if just the same mindset, just do so much more volume. Just keep doing it. Forget about like don't just do it once or twice or three. No. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing that thing. Just keep making do. Keep doing that thing, and then whatever the outcomes comes, then you be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's an example I usually give. Imagine if you have a calculator. Let's say, for example, just imagine this is a calculator. Let's say, for example, 1 plus 1, that is 2. You see the answer above. 2 plus 2 is 4. Yeah, you see the answer above. Imagine if I've closed the calculator. You can't see the answer. The top of the calculator. You start to press random digits, for example, 3 to 3 plus this plus blah, blah, blah. You just keep on adding some digits to that. And then after some time, I've collected the calculator. It's processing the answer. The moment I reveal, you see a lot of numbers here. That's the exact same analogy I want you to understand. Imagine you pressing it is the input you are making. And because you cannot see the outcome of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's closed. But that doesn't mean the calculator is not working. That doesn't mean the input is not adding up to this thing. By the moment you reveal the answer, you see, oh, everything will fall into place. Every single thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordained will fall into place 100% of the time. The exact same time, that is when the dua will be answered. So let's recap everything. Believe your dua will be answered. That's the very first step. How can you believe your dua will be answered? Do so much more volume. I've done so much more volume. Now what? Then when you keep on doing the volume, like the fundamentally when you think about in 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, that is when you start to let go of the outputs. When you let go of the outputs, that is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would answer your dua in the exact same time. I hope this video is helpful. I will end with a humble quotes. Too much attention makes a donkey think it's a lion. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you found this video beneficial, then don't forget to book your free one-to-one strategy call. Go to the link down below. May Allah bless all of us in our journey, and I'll see you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.